Hi and welcome to TOTECS. In the 16.2 TOTECS e-commerce platform, we have released an improvement to the platform's existing express order checkout feature that allows for it to be implemented now on hosted content managed websites. If you didn't already know, the express order checkout feature allows targeted users ordering for a specific customer account to be able to proceed through the order checkout process without having to set any details of the order. This avoids users having to select from any billing or delivery addresses, enter any email or ordering options either. Instead, it uses predetermined settings to determine how the order is set, allowing the user to navigate directly to the order review stage and submit an order with minimal effort. Previously, this express order checkout feature was only implemented within the TOTECS platform's trade interface, and now it has been carried across into the content managed websites, allowing the same great functionality to be used to speed up the order checkout and order submission process. The express order checkout feature is typically set up for customers who raise many orders that don't require order details to change often. So to see how this works, we have our example content managed website here hosted on the TOTECS e-commerce platform. And within this website, I'm logged in as a particular user. I've added some products to a basket, and this can be done through using our product quick add feature or by adding products from navigation listings and many other locations across a e-commerce based website. Once our products are in the basket, normally the user has to click on the checkout button. And normally you would have to go through the order detail processes to select the address where we wanted this order to be delivered to. As well, we would need to select the payment method if we had multiple options available, such as if we could pay for credit card or on account, then we'll need to be able to choose that. We would need to enter a purchase order number and the email address where we wanted that order to go to, as well as any kind of instructions to include in that order, as well as selecting any freight carrier or order options. And it all proceed to the next option, which would be the product review stage, where we would then review the details such as our billing and delivery details, and then be able to submit the order. So if for a particular user and the account that they're ordering with had this express order checkout feature turned on, when the user proceeds to their shopping basket and click on the checkout button, it would ignore taking them to the order detail page and instead take them directly to the order review page, as we can see here, where they can tick to confirm their terms and conditions and submit the order. So by doing so, that can take out several steps in the order detail selection process. Now, in order for this to work, all these details within the order would need to be predetermined for a given user and the account that they are ordering with. So the express order checkout greatly simplifies the checkout process and ultimately allows that user to create more orders faster. And it typically goes for business to business ordering or business to government ordering, where the details of the order do not change that often and can be predetermined. To set up the express checkout, we first need to log into the administration center of a project hosted on the TOTECS e-commerce platform. From there, if we click on the stores menu button and then go down to the express checkout profiles menu item, within the interface, we have this thing called checkout profiles. So we can create many different profiles, and each profile will contain these different settings to autofill all the order details. So I've previously created an express checkout process here that I've named express checkout-company XYZ. So we could have it set up for a single company, or we could set up a profile for many companies or businesses or customers. So for example, we have one set up for our Melbourne VIP customers, and we may set up for different regioning around our customer base. Using profiles, we can then group those particular users together. So in this example, if once I click on an express checkout profile, we can see there's a few settings that we have available. So we can give that profile a specific name. In this case, I wanted to identify company XYZ that this is specifically targeting. So this is when we get into the settings. So when these orders are raised by the users assigned to this profile, the orders by default are going to set the payment method to be on account. Now they could be set to a credit card. So you want to force always that these orders need to be paid by credit card, or direct deposit if we want to just show the direct deposit information. PayPal if we want to redirect those customers to the PayPal's website to pay for the orders, or we can always have them set as running quote. When the users who are assigned to this express checkout profile this is the payment type that is always going to be set for those orders. Within the purchase order number field here, we can always pre-fill the purchase order number, so that appears within these orders that are raised. Since this number is always going to be static, it means it's never going to update on each order. You might put in information such as express checkout order, so that way anybody looking at these orders, whether it be the customer or admin or warehousing staff, know that this is the process that went through to raise this order. This number is never going to change. And you might use different purchase order numbers for these different profiles. Now for the billing and delivery addresses that need to be set for an order, we have this setting here. This is what controls which address will be set. So we have this setting called use billing address as delivery. If that is set to yes, it's going to set the billing address additionally as the delivery address for the order. Otherwise, the delivery address will be independently chosen based on the default address assigned against the customer account that this user is raising the order against. So if we go into the customer account interface, for each customer account that we have imported into a project, if we click on the addresses button, we can see that an account may have many addresses assigned to it, but only one of those accounts will be assigned as the primary address. And that is the address that the order checkout profile is going to use by default and assign against the order. And orders can be marked as being delivery addresses or being billing addresses or both. So the order checkout process is by default going to use the primary address assigned against an account and assign that to the order. And if there is a primary delivery address, it will choose that. But as this setting says, if that is set to yes, then it will set the billing address as the delivery address as well. Otherwise, keep them separate. Now this next setting, email mode, this controls if the person who is going to receive an email notification of this order once submitted should be the user who is submitting the order and is assigned against the order, or the email address that is assigned directly to the account that that user is ordering on behalf of. So for example, if you've got an account manager of that customer, they may want to receive that email notification, not so much the user who's submitting the order. So that's when you'd use the account. That would be using the email address directly assigned to the customer account would be then set against the order to receive the delivery notification. If it is set to custom, then we can specify a custom email address that we place into this field, and that means all the order notifications will be going to this email address that is set here. So if you have many users and many accounts, all the email notifications would be going to this one email address. And that may be relevant because you may have 20 users who can then use this express checkout profile, such as if they're working in a government organization, but we can always guarantee that the emails are going to that one nominated email address here, advising of the orders that are taking place. It's a simple story for the instructions field here. We can determine a predefined message that will always appear on the orders. So if that is left blank, then there will be no instructions left on these orders. But if the instructions never change, such as here, please receive at the reception desk, then that's going to be the instructions that appear on every order that is using these express checkout profiles. It's a simple story for the carrier, so we can specify which freight character should be used for these orders. And that needs to match the value that is set within the order options interface and the ID that is specified there. And then we have a couple of options here, whether or not to show the order ID on the purchase order. This is not relevant. It's only a relevant setting for the trade interface. Same with displaying the terms and conditions checkbox. So once we've saved those settings, the next step we need to do is assign the users who are then going to be able to use this express checkout profile so they can move through the checkout process, skipping the order detail stage. So firstly, we would type the code of the account that the user is assigned to. Then we would type in their identifier. So if they have the same ID as the account, it would be that simple. For example, we might have an account that has many different login IDs that are tied to then, and users that are tied to the one account. So we'd select our user and click the add button. Now if they're already in the list, you'd get an error message like you're saying here. Otherwise, they would get added to the list here. So now we can see that we have 5 users who are assigned to this express checkout profile, so that when these users go through the order checkout process, they will not be directed to the order detail page. They will be directed directly to the order review page to confirm and submit the order. So that's how we set up express checkout profiles. And the last setting we may need to be aware of is if we go into the user menu and go into the user permissions. Within here, clicking on the modify roles, we have these different facility roles which control the permissions that the user have on what they can do within our content manager websites and what features they can access. So I've created a role here called Express Checkout, but you don't necessarily need to do this. What is important, if we go in and view that, you may need to be aware of this setting here called View Order Freight Carrier Selection. Normally when a user goes through the order checkout process, if they have to be able to choose a freight carrier because this permission is set to allow, if this permission was set to allow, then the user may have to choose a freight carrier during the order checkout process. That would break the order checkout because the user would never be able to choose from that because they're going straight to the review stage. So this permission should be set to deny for users who are using Express Checkout. And that's a reason why you might create a separate facility role and assign those users to that role through our assigning process here. And you'd then select the relevant facility role and save those changes. And then the user will not receive any warnings. If they were going from a basket listing area, clicking on the checkout button, it will ensure the user, if they're navigating from a product listing area by clicking on the checkout button, that they navigate directly to the order review stage. So this is how we can now use the Express Order Checkout feature in order to allow users to efficiently navigate from a shopping basket listing area to the order review stage without having to enter any order details and having those order details automatically populated and determined ahead of time, allowing the user to efficiently review and submit the order with the minimal amount of steps. That in turn will save that user lots of time and effort, which may be very important if they are creating many orders, such as if they're doing high volume business to business or business to government based trade. Ultimately, that extra time savings will increase their satisfaction, reduce the costs in labor in order to do the ordering, and allow more orders to be raised faster. Ultimately, for business with e-commerce website hosted on the TOTECS e-commerce platform, that may increase sales as well as customer retention. If you wish to find more information, you can go to the TOTECS websites, look at the release notes within the forums, and if you have any questions, you can ask within the forums or contact us. You can also view the release playlist on our TOTECS YouTube channel. Till next time, have a good one.